and welcome to the South Central Regional Report. I'm Arthur, and there's no way in hell I'm wearing a bow tie. This is the inaugural episode of the South Central Regional Report. We're going to be covering the CrossFit Games, but we're going to be doing it more from the perspective of the South Central region. We're going to talk about the workouts, results, individual athletes, as well as the goings on in the CrossFit Games and the CrossFit community, and giving opinion on them as we go. Now I know what you're thinking. Why am I doing a report when there's not even a workout yet? Well, mainly two things. One, to introduce you to the show, which we will have out every Tuesday. And secondly, the CrossFit Games made a claim that over 100,000 people had signed up for the Open. Now, last year we had a little over 60,000 people sign up. So, do the numbers add up? I took a look to find out. And here's my findings. As of March 4th, 2013, at noon, 65,149 male athletes signed up alone. That already surpasses last year's number. But moving on from that, we have 39,391 women, 2,400 teams. In the newly created 40 to 44-year-old Masters division, we have 6,298 men, 4,096 women. In the 45 to 49 division, we have 2,897 men and 2,091 women. In the 50 to 54-year-old division, we have 1,436 men, 981 women. In the 55 to 59-year-old division, we have 667 men and 425 women. And in the 60-plus division, we have 330 men and 221 women. The total number of participants in the CrossFit Open currently stands at 123,982. That's more than double last year's numbers. The sport of CrossFit is growing exponentially every year, and it seems to double itself as we go. Now, looking more from the South Central region perspective, we have 5,046 men, 3,149 women, and 196 teens. In the 40 to 44-year-old division, we have 464 men and 305 women. In the 45 to 49-year-old division, we have 215 men and 151 women. In the 50 to 54-year-old division, we have 107 men and 69 women. In the 55 to 59-year-old division, we have 45 men and 23 women. And finally, in the 60-plus division, we have 19 men and 9 women, for a grand total of 9,602 athletes competing from the South Central region alone. That is an insane number of athletes competing, and this year is going to be more competitive than ever. But with that said, there's one little problem, and that's actually in the Masters division. We have, in the 40 to 44-year-old division alone, over 10,000 athletes competing for a mere 40 spots in the game. 20 going to women and 20 going to men. Not to mention all the other Masters division as well are loaded with a ton of badass athletes, all competing against each other for those 20 spots in their division alone. With that many athletes competing, this seems completely 100% wrong to be happening. What should happen is there should be a regionals for the Masters division. There's more than enough athletes to support it. And to be honest, these athletes deserve the respect and opportunity to go to the games through the regional competitions. Come on, guys at CrossFit HQ, you can make this happen. You can do it at the current regionals that we're having. Or if you don't want to bog the current regionals down, hold a separate set of regionals for Masters. These athletes deserve it. And I would recommend anybody who's seeing this show who agrees with this to petition HQ to make it happen. It's not going to be that hard. Let's do this, guys. These guys deserve it. Speaking of the South Central region as we go, the top 3 men, Jason Hogan, Brian Diaz, and Aja Barto, are back in competition. The top teams from our region are all up and ready to run, but there's been a major shakeup in the women's division. Azadea Broman, the top woman from the South Central region, has moved. She is now in the Southwest region. What that means is a spot at the top's opened up for some new woman to come in and take it. Who's it going to be? Hard to say, really. We have a ton of badass females in this region. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who steps up, who takes those places, and who goes to the games this year. Guys, we are less than 24 hours away from 13.1 being announced. There's been speculation all over what it might be. 7 minutes of burpees again, 18 minutes of pull-ups, 10 minutes of burpees, couplets of push-ups and squats. Some people are even saying they're doing the Fran ladder first this year. Whatever Dave Castro has planned, we'll find out live on the CrossFit Games site on Wednesday. And shortly after that WOD is announced, Scott Panchik and Dan Bailey will face off head-to-head doing 13.1. The entire CrossFit world will be glued to the game site that day, and it's going to be really, really interesting to watch. Well, thank you for checking out the first episode of the South Central Regional Report. We'll be back next week to examine 13.1 and see where everybody fell in both the world and, more importantly, our South Central region. See you then.